Hi everybody and big welcome to a CDH TV video about scooping and tournaments, just like the thumbnail said. So I got this question regarding scooping and tournament applications. Like what happens if you scoop in a tournament? One of many different possible examples is Tivit, Seller of Secrets. You have a time sieve and you have 3 opponents, which means that whenever you activate time sieve and you attack with Tivit, you're gonna generate 5 treasures so you can go infinite turns. But what if one of your opponents dies, then it doesn't work. But what if one of your opponents scoops in response to this? Then it doesn't work either. You're not going infinite, you're just gonna take a lot of turns, which is probably gonna win the game anyway, but it is preventing it there and then. A more easier to see, more clear and more common example is Nagela and Darevi. So you're attacking with Nagela and Darevi against someone, and in response to that, that person scoops, disappears, and the combat steps ends, which means that you're not gonna generate any Darevi triggers, which means you're not gonna be able to activate Nagela, and you won't go infinite combat steps. You're interacted with by someone sacrificing them for the greater good? Why would someone actually do this? The reason is actually very simple. In CDH you play to your outs, you play to win, and if you're scooping in response to someone's dying, it doesn't really matter, so why bother? But in tournaments you look at the collective of games, and sometimes games goes to a draw, and it is better to have a draw on your record sheet compared to having a loss in your tournament record sheet. And if you actually concede to Darevi, Nagela, or whatever combo someone is trying to go for here, the game will continue. And there is a chance that the game will end up in a draw. If you die here to this, right here and now, you're going to get a loss on your record sheet. But if you concede to this, making this incapable of winning, well, someone in the next turn order might win. But there is a chance, a small chance, that the game will end in a draw. And that's good for you. That's good for your, or it's not good for you, but it's better than a loss in your tournament records. And I'm really happy that Sumim brought this question to me and also asked for this kind of topic, because this is honestly a really important topic to talk about. Because what form of game environment could we actually get if we allow things like this? I mean, we could literally end up in a game environment where the game plan is more or less to kamikaze. Do we want that? This is not a problem in normal CDH outside tournaments, because for a very simple reason. If you're sitting down and playing with your friends and someone is winning with this, well, yeah, you could concede to make the game longer, to give the game a chance to go to a draw, but you have to sit and wait for that. And we aren't really trying to record anything in this situation, like we're playing friendly game on a local game store of sorts. So who cares if the game goes to a draw? It's better that the game ends for everyone at the same time, so everyone gets the maximum amount of play time. So you rather just die, start a new game, and try to win this one instead. So this is not a problem outside tournaments. But there's another really important topic to actually talk about too: rankings. CDH tournaments is something of a fight for the top 16. And in here you need the best ranking possible to get there, but you don't want your opponents to actually have a good ranking either. So what you see here is a bunch of numbers: 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, and 0, 4. And it's the ranking after game 4. This is gonna be game 5 for all players sitting at that pod. So we have a player 1 that has won 2 games, lost 2 games. Player 2 has won 1 game, lost 3 games. Player 3 has won 2 games and lost 2 games, and player 4 has won 0 and lost 4. Really achievement. I'm really happy that player 4 actually stays at this point, because a lot of people actually drop at this point. So this is game 5, and this is the final game for the final ranking. After this, we're gonna look at seeing who's getting into top 16. So how could this actually affect? So let's say that player 1 or player 3 wins this game. That will put them to 3-2, which is drastically increasing their chance of getting to a top 16. If player 4 wins, it doesn't really matter. Player 4 is never going to get to top 16. If player 2 wins, he will be at the same position together with player 1 and player 3. They will all have something of an almost equal chance of getting to top 16, depending on seating actually have a determination too. There are a lot of people who actually go to 2 wins and have an advantage over other people on 2 wins because of seatings, which is very complicated. I'm not gonna go into explanation of how that actually works. There's some bots stuff, computer algorithm and things, the figuring out things. But player 1 and player 3 are very excited about this one. Player 2 is also like, yeah, there's a small chance if I win this, my win rate increases. But player 3 and player 1 don't want the other one to win. Definitely not. That is gonna decrease their chance of getting to 16 a lot. But if player 2 or player 4 wins, it's not that big of a deal. So player 1 and player 3, if they run into a situation where they can't win, they might kingmake. Literally try to kingmake. To make player 2 or player 4 win the game, just so that the other opponent of theirs doesn't get a free 2. Is that wrong? Kinda is, but it's actually increasing your chance of winning the tournament. And this literally happens. Sometimes, not that often. So how do we fix this? Because first of all, do we actually think this is a problem? I kind of think, because it's making the game in tournaments really different compared to the games at your local kitchen game store. And I think that tournaments shouldn't have a concede aspect to it, a kamikaze aspect to it in the game environment. It feels wrong. Maybe it's not that bad, but it feels wrong in my opinion. So step 1, make this hidden. Don't reveal standings to everyone fighting in the tournament. Because if you don't know the results here, if it all looks like this, just big question marks on people's standings, it's hidden information for all the players, then there's no point in kingmaking because you don't know who you're gonna kingmake. And that would solve that problem. The other thing I would like to say is that I think it should be forbidden to concede in CEDH to begin with. Even local game store kitchen table games as well. Or well, there are situations like you're getting a phone call, your kid is at a hospital, you need to go, yeah, that's a different thing. But you shouldn't really try to concede. You shouldn't use that as a thing to do. It's kind of hard to actually forbid conceding because there are in the rules that a person can actually go whenever they want to, just collect their cards and disappear. And that is absolutely fine in 1v1 Magic because that just means that the opponent wins and the game is over and no discussion more is needed. But in a multiplayer game, that has implications to it. And it greatly affects the outcome of the game by someone conceding. So in a tournament setting, I could see it making sense. Unless there's that, hey, your kid is in the hospital, you need to go, and yeah, you have a very good excuse to run off and concede that game. But there is a very easy, simple solution to this. If you concede the game equals you concede the entire tournament. This allows you to actually concede for the correct reasons. Hi, your kid is on the hospital, you need to come, and you ditch the tournament, you run off to the hospital because you have better things to do than playing Magic. There are those situations, but it also removes the idea of sitting and conceding games to create draws. Because if you do that, you actually permanently lose. You're cut from the actual big tournament. And hereby simply removing conceding as a potential strategy. Those are my thoughts regarding the topic. Multiplayer CDH is very strange sometimes. Hope you enjoyed this little short video. I think it's a very important video. Things tournaments really need to think and consider. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time, guys. Take care.